Hi, Kriti.
Hello. Hi. I'm so glad this is working. Yay.
Yeah.
How are you? This is my
All
first
good.
time.
How
I'm
are
so
you?
nervous. I'm good.
Yeah, it's even my first time.
Yeah, I think I'm just always nervous in the beginning, especially with technology nowadays. You never know. Since
Yeah.
the weekend, since so many people are on it, I'm like, I don't know if it's gonna work, but I'm so glad it's working.
Yeah, let's hope. Let's see how many people join and how it goes.
Yeah.
So,
Do we just want to
yeah.
give it a few minutes because it's only like four people? I don't know if that is including us, but
No, 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 that's not including us. I think
oh, okay.
that's excluding us.
Just a disclosure that I actually am so still very new, I think I would say, to Instagram.
Hmm.
So so you best know this because of what happened just 2 days ago
Yeah.
where I was almost going to delete my accounts.
Okay, so before everyone joins, I think let's share an interesting story for the people who have joined so far.
Yeah.
So, so Kriti and I created our art pages at almost the same time, and being technologically challenged a little bit is what I feel, or probably new to Instagram. Kriti wanted to connect her Instagram page to the Facebook page, and it was not happening for some reason. And then she thought that she'll delete it and she'll recreate it, and she posted a story about it. So then I thought, no, 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 I'm your anti-delete squad. I will not let this happen. And then we figured it out.
And I'm so thankful that you did. I mean, I'm so glad that you saw the story. And I don't know, like something in me just said, don't delete it right away. Like even after the story is posted, just wait. Somebody will say something, they'll say, okay, great, like thanks for deleting or whatever. Or even, save me like you did. And I'm so glad you reached out and you were like, no, 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 don't do it. Like, here's what you need to do. And Mega is great, by the way. If you all have like any doubts too, she'll send you screenshots and actually walk you through the process. So just so everybody knows, that's how cool she is.
Yeah, I like to help people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
We still
think
have people joining, so that's great.
still have people joining. Yeah,
Yeah. You were saying
I think
something, I'm sorry.
yeah, I was thinking that if we should start, I don't know how many people are going to join. It's our first Insta live.
Oh, we
So
can start. I mean, and then as people join, we can just keep looking. And if I don't know, because I don't want to take too many like people's time also. I want to be mindful of their
yeah,
time since they did
yeah,
come
yeah,
on time.
they did come. Yeah, so thanks guys. Thanks to whoever has joined so far. I know there are just 5 people so far, but then it's
That's
it's so
okay.
encouraging. If we have to perform for 5 people, we will. It's our first Insta live. Yeah. Okay. So let's start with a little introduction about ourselves because
Yeah,
people from your page won't be knowing me and people from my page won't be knowing you. So
sure.
yeah, Kriti, let's start with your introduction.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. I'm Kriti, and I am currently studying. I'm doing my doctorate in higher education. So art, we'll tell you more about how we both connected and how we both met and stuff. But something about me, a little about my art page. I guess this is the time I can tell you and promote my page. So art's something. It's art by Mango, and that's where I'm live from. So please do follow, or please at least visit, so you can see what kind of art I do and what I'm into. So art's always been an integral part of my life. I think with just everything that's happening in the world and with some downtime now in my life, and also because it's summer for me. I've had the chance to go back into art, and so really just started doodling with no intention. And then slowly, I think, as I doodled every day for a few weeks now, it's become more intentional and it has more meaning in terms of, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. And now I'm starting to develop the purpose. And I think going forward, like I have a very definite intention of what I want to do with it. So that's me in a nutshell, and I'll tell you more, I'm sure, throughout, but I'll let Megha introduce herself now.
Yeah. So hi everyone. So hi to probably Kriti's friends and followers. So yeah, I am Megha. And professionally, I'm a marketeer, but then I have this creative instinct. So I like the creative process as a process itself. And writing is something which I have enjoyed quite a lot since a very young age. So yeah, I have been writing poems and I have been uploading videos of those poems. So yeah, that's majorly about me. And if you
Same.
guys have any more questions, so you can just feel free to drop in your questions. After our session, we will be answering the questions from the audience.
I was going to say, should we go ahead and tell them how we met? Because I don't think, we've had a chance to share that yet.
Yeah, I think that is a very interesting story. So would you like to share or should I go ahead?
Sure, you can start and then I can like chime in.
Okay. So it is very interesting story how Kriti and I met and then how we connected. So there's a certain group you must have seen. So you guys must have seen the repost of that group in both of our stories. So it's Subtle Curry Dating, which is on Facebook. And we both are a part of that group, and we were both in search of matches. And yeah, I think that's where Kriti saw my profile picture with a panda, and then she got very fascinated. And I saw her profile picture with these blue glasses, and I got fascinated that, okay, this seems like a very creative person. We need to talk. So,
I am that person who DMs people and says, "Hey, I see the panda on your picture. Tell me about it." No, I really think like even just looking at you like in that picture, I've always had a longing to, connect with girls, with women. I'm an only child. I don't have siblings. So even growing up, I went to a convent school and I've always had a lot of girls as my friends. And I always am looking for that sister vibe. And when I just saw that, I was like, she seems like somebody that would like me. Also because she loves pandas, I just assumed, yeah, she definitely seems like me because of that similarity there. And I'm so glad like that happened. I just messaged you, you messaged back, we became friends, and then again, I'm thankful for the Instagram account because that gave us a moment to reconnect and actually talk more intentionally about our work and what we do. And I'm excited to see where it goes with my art and with your poems as you're still creating them for
exactly, and
sure.
I think it is art is an expression, right? And the way we express is it also goes back and connects to how we are as people.
Hmm.
So it has been very interesting because you are into digital paintings
Hmm.
and I am into writing poetry. So then I thought
Yeah.
it would be great if we just connected and we collaborated. It would be
Yeah.
so like a collision of two art forms.
Yeah. Well, very quickly, before I ask you some other questions, I do want to tell people who are just still joining us that if you have any questions, go ahead and please feel free to post them. We probably will wait till the end, like once we're done chatting, and then we can definitely answer those questions. So let me ask you, Megha, where do you think you said that you've always been into poetry, but do you have like more intentional like writing? Like, is there a particular inspiration that you draw from, or is there something that really like inspires you to write a certain way or on a certain day?
Okay. So, see, like I shared earlier, that I have been into writing since a very young age. So, how I started writing and how I discovered that I have this, gumption for writing was back in my fifth grade or sixth grade, I guess. So, during those times, we used to have these language subjects,
Hmm.
and we needed to write essays in our exams. And people used to have these digests or guides wherein they would just
Yeah.
mug up the essay and they would just write it as it is. So, being a curious kid, a curious kid who likes to ask a lot of questions, I
Yeah.
just happened to ask my parents and my teachers once that why is it so that we need to mug up the essay, and what if what I had prepared for doesn't come in the exam? Then what? So they said that actually you're supposed to write it on our own. You're not supposed to mug it. So I thought, yeah, that makes sense. So I might as well should start writing. And so I remember there was a certain exam in which I had to write an essay about mother.
Hmm.
So I write in two languages broadly, English and Hindi. And
Hmm.
Gujarati is something which I can speak. I have some sort of fluency in it, but I don't really write so much in Gujarati.
Hmm.
But then my journey of writing began with writing something in Gujarati. So it was an essay on mother, and I wrote also whatever I felt about my mother at that age. I just wrote it in that essay, and I actually ended that essay with a certain poem. And this poem actually exists in Gujarati language, but I just added a little line under that essay, which was mine. So there were two realizations that I had after that. One is that I can write a little bit of poetry and make it rhyme. So probably I should continue with it. And that I am very good at cracking terrible bad jokes. So what I wrote was Ma te ma, bija bada vagdana va. So this is Gujarati. I'll translate it for people who don't know Gujarati. So mother is a mother. Rest of the people are like wind in a jungle. And then I added, so this third line was mine. Ane khand vinani cha. So that is like tea without sugar. So English translation might seem a little awkward,
Yeah.
but then in Gujarati it sounded like it rhymed and it made sense. So even in parent-teacher meeting, the teacher told my parents that we think that she has something for writing. So, and that was something which really struck me, and I had this realization that, oh, I can write, and
Yeah.
probably I should keep writing. So then after that, I have been drawing inspiration from my everyday routine.
Mm-hmm.
So back in those days when I was a kid, I used to write at the back of my notebook or any rough pages, and it just kept going on. And
Yeah.
now that I have grown up with that hobby, I kind of just move along with it. And I find
Yeah.
inspiration in anything and everything. I might be just roaming around. I saw a bird somewhere, or I saw two people talking to each other, and
Yeah.
I just love it. Oh,
Yeah,
by the way,
it's
thank
awesome.
you. Yeah, and thanks, Dia. You love my poems. It like it gives me so much joy when people actually like what we create.
Hmm.
Now, Kriti, I would like to ask you, where do
Yeah.
you draw your inspirations from, and how has your journey been?
Sorry, I'm laughing because your friend, I think, is saying Megha is not terrible with jokes.
Oh, that is so sweet of you, Bhanu.
Well, yeah, thanks for sharing, really. And I think my answer is also very similar to yours. Um, just having, I think, lived away from family. I obviously moved away for education from my family, and it's been a few years since I've lived with them. And I think when you move away from home and you, I think, go into a different culture, there's so much of you that you take with you, and then there's so much of you that you can't, right? Like just because of the logistics of how it's all played out. And then there's also like this constant evolving or evolvement of yourself, and also like the surrounding that you're in and the people that you come in contact with. And I think I draw all of my inspiration from those very things that happen. Very similar to you, when you said you started writing when you were very young. You're saying Vegas were terrible with jokes.
See, I'm going to take everything as a compliment. If you tell me that I'm terrible with jokes, thank you. If you're going to say I'm not terrible with jokes, thank you. Everything is a
We'll have
compliment.
to have you crack another joke at the end of like this at some point. But I was
Maybe
saying,
yes.
but I was
Yeah,
saying,
yeah, you were
very
saying.
similar. Yeah, very similar to yours. I started to draw, I think, as early as when I was 3 or 4, of course, at that time. It was more just like random sketches and drawings and didn't make any sense. But I think what helped me the most is just having my parents like be very supportive of that. Even if I drew a flower, which of course it didn't look pretty, it just was like a flower that a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old would draw. But my parents were so encouraging, and both of them are artists themselves, even though they've never officially published any of their work. My mom actually took formal classes in oil and watercolor painting. So our house also is filled with a lot of artwork of her own. And then my dad also, he would see all these cartoons that I would like, and I was very fond of Mickey and Popeye as a kid, and he would just draw them out, and I would color them. And I think just seeing all that, and I would try to like imitate what they would do. So I think that having that early like onset of art embedded into my life has helped me quite a bit. And then soon I would find myself like when I was in elementary school going into art competitions. My parents made sure that I was into every art competition that was out there. And they would also go with me, right? Like both my parents are working parents, but they would take the time out to support me, to buy me colors. I remember, they would tell my cousins who would come from abroad, they would always ask like, what you want? And my parents would say, just bring her some art pencils or colors, because that's all she needs. Like she doesn't need chocolate or anything. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's my childhood. And even like for my birthday or even like otherwise, my parents would usually say, don't give her anything, but if you are, then give her like art stuff. So there was so much art and so much influence of art in my life that I've always been used to drawing like random things. And so fast forward into my life now, it's been about a year or more where I had a very severe arm injury, nerve injury in my left arm, and I'm left-handed. And I couldn't like do a lot of things that I would normally do. But slowly, like in this quarantine, it's also been a time of uncertainty, anxiety, stress, with not knowing
That's
what is
true.
ahead, with not
Yeah.
knowing what is going on with a lot of people that are also around you. I wanted to get back, and I've been actually trying to get back into like sketching and drawing. So really, it's just randomly one day started to do it, and I also noticed the impact it had on my mental health of how quickly it helped me calm down and almost like forget. And I was just like, okay, yeah, this is cool. Like, I want to do more of this digital drawing and see where it goes. And so, if you've seen my page or if you've seen my work, so you know. But most of those things have been like everyday stuff that happen. We've seen quite a lot of death of famous people in the last few days, and even just otherwise, flowers, seasons, things at home, mostly things that remind me of home and I think people that I'm connected to. And I think it helps me stay grounded like that.
I think that is very true. Especially, so the quarantine time has been quite special for me as well, because that is the
Yeah.
time when I actually, had this idea that let me go ahead and just create a page and start publishing my poems in a very proper format. Until now, I had always had this cold feet whenever it came to a structured publishing. I always used to
Yeah.
publish them very randomly. So I thought, okay, I have the
Yeah.
time and it's quarantine and there's anyway no certainty of what's going to happen. So let me just go ahead with it. Let me do it for my
Yeah.
happiness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been great. I think from whatever I've read of your work so far, it definitely seems like you draw a lot of inspiration from like real life things, real life situations too. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is also evident in, I think, the way you like put your videos together. And I think that was something that I was going to ask you. But before that, I see Bhanu is asking me which one do I
Yeah.
prefer the most? Do I prefer digital or physical? I think, and I was telling Mega this too earlier in different conversation a few days back that for now I'm more like close to digital. And that is just because I don't want to waste the paper and I don't want to just create something and then lose it in the process. I'm living quite the creative life right now with my living situation
Hippie life.
with friends. So yeah, it's a little bit of a chaos, but I think keeping it digital for now is definitely more organized. And that way, if I want in the future, like I can always print them. And I'm also looking to just share a lot of art for philanthropy. So ultimately, I think someday I want to be able to create enough pieces to sell them and sell all of it for charity, most likely, and the most recent, that being of the migrant workers. I would really love to help. So I'm actually looking for organizations too that either do that kind of work and are already established. And if I could like pair my artwork with that and give it up, I would be more than happy to do that. So that's what I've been keeping them mostly digital for now.
So I think in our viewers, if anyone is aware of any of such organization, of course we would be doing our own research,
Yeah.
and Kriti and I will always also be collaborating on a certain art piece and see how it goes. Which we'll share more details about towards the end. I just get so excited.
We'll have to do it once it's created. We'll have to come back on and do another live so people can see it. And maybe you can actually read it out at that point and we can do
Yeah,
some fun stuff. We'll talk about it.
we'll
But I
talk
was going to
about
ask you,
it. Yeah.
speaking of, the illustration, I was going to say, I've seen your videos, right? Like, and I said, it's very creative, very fun of how you put it all together. And I love the transitions. I love the videos. So can you tell us, like, do you do these by yourself? Like, do you do the editing? Do you like put it all together by yourself?
Right. So yeah, this is one question. First of all, thank you. Thank you that you I'm really glad that you like the work that I put up. And yeah, this is one question which I keep getting a lot. One is that if the voice, the narration that's inside the video, if that is my voice, and the video editing. So I would
Mhm.
like to say that see, it is also a collaborative work. I don't know if some of you may have noticed, but I actually tag the video editor in a couple of my stories and posts. So Parth Sutaria is someone who has been helping me with editing the poems because that is not my forte. Video editing is not my forte. But yeah, having said that, in the narrations, the voice is mine. The scripting is something which we do in a collaborative manner, both me and Parth. And of course, the poems are mine.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's lovely. So like how long does it take for you to like actually like, write something and then like can you like tell us a little bit about the process?
Yeah. So see, now poetry is something which comes very naturally to me. So I have already created quite a lot of poems. I mean, I never kept a count, but if I have to roughly say it, it has to be a high two-digit number. That's the amount of poems that I have written so far, and I have actually
Mm.
saved them. Otherwise, the things that I wrote in my childhood are just I don't know where. But yeah, as you grow as a person, your poetry also matures. So
Yeah.
if I look back at anything which I wrote 5 years ago or 6 years ago, I become a little self-critical also that, okay, I can write better now. So yeah, having said that, the poems that I have been publishing these days, these were the poems which I wrote in the past. And now I have compiled all the poems which I would like to start with, and we have been creating videos for that. And there's something very interesting about how the process goes about creating, because
Mm.
we brainstorm about the scripting of it, the scripting part, that which visual would go with what line and how the
Mm.
music would go. So we
Yeah.
brainstorm a little bit about that. And then when I sit for the narrations, this is also something which I'm doing for the very first time.
Mm.
So, and I'm not using any fancy equipment for that. All I'm using is this. This is my recording instrument, and I stay up at night when it gets really quiet, so that I can record quality sound without any background noises or disturbances.
Yeah.
So I think we are getting a comment. So Srinath
Yeah.
says, "Hey Kriti and Megha, with the confluence of two art forms, what do you feel about the leverage gained, and the things lost in translation as compared to the experience of reader reading a poem alone?" Okay, okay. So I think this would be a question for both of us. I would answer it from the point of view of a creator, and you can answer it from the point of view of someone who creates art and who is also an
Yeah.
audience for art.
Yeah.
So Kriti, how about you go ahead and you answer this first, and then
Yeah,
I
I
join.
would love to. I think that's the beauty of art, right? Like, so maybe I drew it with a certain lens, of course, the way I see things. There are similarities, I think, based on how I have these bigger identities of myself, right? Like I'm a woman. I am a South Asian woman. I'm a Desi woman. I also have these other like identities of religion. So even though I may draw it from my perspective, from my lens of how I see it, I think that's the beauty of art because with the colors, with the patterns, with the designs, with even the associations of what I draw, I think it gives the freedom for the person viewing it or even the audiences to choose and interpret that art in any form. Most of my art so far has been very intentional, like very specific things. So it may be objects that people may relate to from their culture, or if it is abstract, which is more natural stuff that I draw. Then I guess there was a recent piece that I drew, and I can actually pull it up to show you all. It was this piece of a wall, and there was just like bougainvillea like all over the wall,
Yeah,
and to
that
me
was
like that
beautiful.
was yeah, and to me, like that was very specific, right? Like that was somewhere in in Spain. I think I saw it on a postcard, and I was like, I want to go to this place one day But to me, also the bougainvillea, like, yeah, I saw it in that moment in Spain, and I was like, wow, this is so beautiful. But bougainvillea was something that grew in my backyard when I was when I was a kid, and so I was like, wow, this really like reminds me of that flower like in my backyard. And there was another one that I also drew of the gulmohar, which is also very close to my heart. So this is the one with the bougainvillea. I'm sorry if it's reflecting too much. Hopefully,
No, no, no,
you
it's
can see
visible.
it
It's visible.
clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of the bougainvillea like that. We used to we in Mumbai we live which I didn't tell people, but my family lives in Mumbai, and so we live close to a national reserve, and so there's a lot of greenery. Like even though it's a city, we lucked out to live in an area that is has a lot of greenery. So yeah, I think that's my response.
Okay. Now, responding to the question. So for me, see, poetry is something which has a lot of ways of expressing. So it can be expressed through just plain text, without
Yeah.
any voice, without any narration. It can be expressed through narration. It can be expressed through videos, and there are tons of ways that a poetry can be expressed. So
Mm.
I think why I chose videos for that is to be able to connect with more people, because when you so see, it's always said that the true essence of a poem is something that only the poet can tell you. The other people can only interpret. They can only try to interpret that what it really meant, and they can
Mm.
always come up with their own interpretations. That's how art is. You find your
True.
own meaning in it. So I
Mm.
thought I didn't want to lose any of the meaning in translation. That's why I chose that if I express it through a video, then I think what was going on in my brain would reach out to people in a better format, is what I thought. If I compare it with just text, plain text.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, it things get lost in translation would be something probably not true for me as per my understanding. But yeah, it
Mm.
does limit the imagination of the viewer. So if I
Mm.
had to tell you that, okay, I'm writing about a certain man, so then a man can have a lot of interpretations. It can be a man with dark skin. It can be a man with long hair. It can be a man with, a man with a cigarette. So now
Mm.
that is something which is open to interpretation by the viewers.
Mm.
And when you really express a poem through videos, then
Mm.
I think that takes away the imagination factor from the viewers,
Mm.
um, or limits it to a certain way. But yeah, seeing it from a creator's point of view, I think through videos, I feel that my message reaches out in a better format, and I am able to draw the picture which was drawn in my brain when I was writing the poem.
Yeah, that's awesome. Always wonderful to hear, what goes on in the mind of an artist as they create like pieces of art, of poems. I
So,
see
Kriti,
there's, yeah,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
I actually wanted to discuss about this Kathakali sketch that I saw on your page recently.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you'd like to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, and there's actually one question that I see. We'll answer that in just a second. So, like I said,
Yeah.
right, I think a lot of like my inspirations come from things or from even artifacts that I long to see or like make me feel or remind me of home. So this one was actually the face of the Kathakali, and I'll go ahead and show you all. So this is what I drew.
I love it. The intricate details in this, it is
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. So there's actually a funny story though of this Kathakali. Like in any like typically in any South Indian household, and I don't mean to generalize, but mostly for people in Kerala, like I've seen, we had one where, we would enter our house and we would have the big face of the Kathakali on the wall. And it was a sculpture, right? And I was just like, as a kid, I always used to get scared of this face. I used to think it's a ghost. Like actually, I used to think that it's a voodoo doll, like actually kept to like make the ghost like go away. And that was my understanding as a kid. Like I didn't know what this meant or why we had it in the house. And then when we would even go to Kerala to like visit our friends and family, like we would see the Kathakali like mounted on the wall. And I would just think, what is the point of having this in every house? I mean, it's beautiful, it's gorgeous, but I think growing up, like it took me a long time to understand that it's actually a dance form. And I would ask a lot of questions of my parents. Like now that I look back, when I was a kid, I would think, wow, I asked a lot of questions, and my parents had a lot of patience to answer all of those questions very patiently. But yeah, again, just the cultural significance. I think in thinking of how it is and what it is, someday I hope that I have a chance to actually see an artist in action. Because from what I know so far, Kathakali artists do their own makeup, and it's very intense, and like it is a very neat form of storytelling. And I think that is something also that's very huge. I think every art form or even artwork has a story behind it. And so that is something I hope to see someday. So I'll go ahead and show the piece again because I see some people just joined. And so this is the piece
Yeah.
that we are talking about, which actually resembles the piece that we have at home in India. It's actually that colorful. And yeah, when I drew it too, my mom was really surprised. She's like, wow, you actually are like really good at this.
No, but this is really a very fabulous one. I think when I was going through your feed and all the sketches that
Yeah.
you have posted over there, this was one particular sketch that just caught my attention. And there was another one which was an animation.
Oh, yeah,
So,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that also caught my attention. I think that is also one advantage of having digital art form, right?
Yeah, was it this one?
Yeah, 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 this one.
I'll play it. It's a video, so. Oh, it's not.
I I am a little distracted by the comments now. Someone, so Puneet is saying that lucky you had Kathakali mounted on your wall. For me, I only had chipped.
That is so funny. Oh, there was another question actually before we like, I mean,
Yeah, before
that's
we
so
start
funny.
going through the comments, there was one question.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think Puneet, Puneet Nathani, I'm sorry if I say your name wrong, but he asked, do you think that an artist peaks at a certain time or age, or do they just keep on evolving and maturing? Mega, you want to answer that? I'm still laughing at, oh, he was the one who said the Chipkale comment too.
Yeah, he was also the one who was telling my jokes terrible.
Oh,
Okay, so first I'll go and then you can answer the question.
yeah.
So I would say that every age has a certain flavor to it. So, for example, when I was a 13-year-old girl, I had a certain mindset, I had certain thoughts, and art is an expression of thoughts. So, a 13-year-old girl expressing thoughts through poetry with the limited skill that she had would be something that a 13-year-old is creating. And as she matures with age, so the poems that I would write now would obviously be a little more mature than what I wrote as a 13-year-old. But
Mm-hmm.
then, if I have to compare both the ages, I think I obviously you always get better with age because your
Yeah.
thoughts are maturing, and it's always a process in
Like
the
wine, you get better with age.
yeah. Yeah, that is so true. So I would say that yes, this is something which doesn't have a peak, but then it is something which keeps evolving as you evolve as a person. What
Yeah,
do you think, Kriti?
I have to agree. And I also think maybe I'm saying this from a very personal point of view. I also think sometimes events in your life can also have an impact on like what you do. And I don't know that it can affect, I do think it can affect art. And I also think it can influence the artwork that you create. But I think for most part, like I'm very much in agreement with, you know, what you just said, like when you were 13-year-old versus like how you are right now, you know, so much has happened and so much has developed, right? And of course, if you if you compare my Kathakali right now to my Kathakali if I'd drawn when I was 3 years old, would have probably looked like Chipkali. I don't know. I mean, not that I don't, I don't want to compare it like that. But you know what I'm saying, right? Like the strokes and you know how you draw, how you write, how you think, all of that I think matures throughout. I would say it's a process, and I still think that I haven't perfected a lot of things in art. And I think every day I was also telling this to Mega. So Sorry if it sounds a little repetitive, but sometimes, even I think with digital drawing, sometimes I draw things and then I'm sometimes a little impulsive with whatever is going on, with a lot of anxiety with the current situation. And so I'll sometimes erase my stuff by mistake or even draw something halfway and then think, it's just garbage. Like, what did I just draw? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Or even draw the entire thing. And this actually happened once where I drew an entire sketch and then touched some button. I don't know. Like, I'm still learning this whole digital thing. Touched something and the whole thing got erased. And I was just like, it's just gone. It disappeared into thin air and it's gone. And I'm like, okay, great. Well, I enjoyed it for a moment and it's gone. And so let's move on and let's recreate something else. So yeah, that's what I think I have to say for for the
Yeah.
evolving piece. Yeah,
I
it's a
think
process for sure.
we are having more comments before people leave the chat, before people leave the live conversation. Let's start answering all the questions.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I saw. Okay.
So,
Uh,
so there is one person. Okay. Paulina Pavisi is saying, I really like your poems and they are expressed, and how they are expressed by videos, like that you interpret them because you express the feelings. Oh, thanks, Pao. That is so sweet of you. And Kriti, you got a
yeah.
compliment on your
Thank
work.
you. That
Yeah.
actually. So I don't want to lie, but I actually drew it with a symmetry tool. That one was a little bit complicated, the Kathakali specifically. So I actually drew only half of it, and then the other half of it was actually with the symmetry tool. So I could just replicate the sides, and that's why it's so perfect, right? I wouldn't be able to do that. Yeah, not yet. Not yet. Still learning for sure.
Yeah, but I think why not make use of technology and then you merge art with it.
Yeah, oh
Uh,
yeah, absolutely. That's what I hope to do with your poems. And thank
yeah,
you
yeah,
for trusting and being open to the idea of even collaborating. Yeah, I'm
yeah.
excited. I've never done
Now
it, so
we
I'm
have,
excited for that.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the same for me. I'm doing this for the very first time, so let's hope things go well and let's see where we go. Now we have one more question again from Puneet. He says,
Yeah,
developing on the
developing.
response, would you then say that your best work is your next? Kriti, how about you go first on this?
So because I'm not like drawing a certain theme right now, I do think like some days I draw some things and I'm just like, wow, I can't believe I did that. So I think I do have that. I mean, for me personally, also, it's gotten a lot better because of my arm injury. I was saying earlier how it was bad, and I think the injury happened as a result of stress and a lot of moving. I was moving my like living situation. I was moving quite a lot from like one place to another in a span of like 2 months. And so it put some pressure on my bicep where I had a impinged nerve, and because of that, I couldn't even lift my left arm. So obviously, I had to do a lot of writing for my school, a lot of typing. So that entirely like took the idea of art like out of my mind, right? And so when I got back, even in the very beginning, like my hand was shaking a lot. So from that, I think from where I was at that stage to where I'm at right now, I think each of my pieces are like my best. But that's just me also like overhyping my own self because I do that sometimes. I personally am of the idea that if you don't like your own work, then how can you expect the world to even, say something? So yeah,
Mhm.
there are moments where I also think, okay, you know what? Like later, I look at some pieces and I'm like, okay, the color could have been better. Like very recently, my dad has been looking at all of my art pieces and he's been telling me that I'm way too much into like circular stuff and I need to get out. He's saying that your world is revolving in circles and you need to get out.
Ah,
And I think that's true. That's a good criticism, right? Like if you look at all of my mandala designs, they're all circles. And he's like, enough, like get out of the circle. Like you can do more stuff. So yeah, I think each of my piece, one after the other, is better than what it's before. But at the same time, I also think they're all unique in their own ways to not, be compared in a sequence or in a group of sorts.
so I think for you, this question is like so if you have created 10 art pieces, then those are like your 10 babies. Now tell me which one is the best baby.
I
And
can't. I
you
can't.
cannot.
They're all
So,
my babies. They're all 10, 10, 10 on 10.
Yeah. So,
What would you say? What do you think?
yeah, so how I would look at it is that, see, definitely I have my own criticism or my own judgment on my pieces which I create. So certain pieces I would like more than the other pieces, probably because
Mm,
of the way I have used figures of speech or rhyming or those technical parts of poetry, or how much it connects with me, how I felt after I finished that particular piece. So
mm,
when it comes to my best work, so what I am going to create in future, that is very uncertain. I don't know. I don't know what
mm,
kind of thought would inspire the next piece. So yes, that whatever next is coming up might be better than what I have created so far. So I would say that the best work is yet to come won't be true for me. The better one is yet to come, and best is something which
mm.
I would have created in the past. And the best one obviously won't be the last one, except for some cases, because I do have favorites. I do like I have my favorite babies and all the babies that I have. Mm.
Oh, that's awesome. I was going to say, so in the videos that I watched, it's your voice, right? You are the one reading those poems, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's very, very soothing. And so, I don't know. I don't know if you get that feeling sometimes, like when you talk versus like sometimes when you actually see the person, they sound a little bit different. And I wondered like if you were using like any specific app to do that. I know you said earlier that you would wait till it's very quiet to
Yeah.
record.
And I also try out a little. So, see, narration is also something which requires a little bit of creativity. So, how
Yeah.
I am speaking right now won't be the way that I would be narrating a poem. I would like
Yeah.
to have some voice modulations in it, because when you are speaking, you need to express emotions through voice intonations. And if you
Mm.
are speaking in a monotone, then that is not going to happen. So obviously, how I speak won't be matching with how I narrate. So when I narrate,
Mm.
I would take the form of a narrator and I would have some variations in voice. But
Yeah.
yeah, thank you. I'm glad that you find it soothing, because I think that's where I'm headed. That's what my aim is, that I create these videos, and
Mm.
whoever my viewer is, the
Mm.
audience find it soothing. It has to really strike a chord with their heart and their mind.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
So I think there was one question which I had received on my inbox,
Yeah.
and I think that person hasn't been able to join. But since he had asked me earlier, I would just take this moment to answer his question.
Yeah.
And this question is something which is very interesting. So what I would do is that I would ask that question to you first, and then I would answer.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so this question
Uh,
was from Yash Shetty from my list,
okay.
and he himself, by the way, is a sketch artist. So
Okay. Yeah.
probably I would get you guys talking so you can talk about all the artsy stuff. Okay, so his question was, okay, have you tried pineapple pizza, and what are your thoughts about it? And the question to me specifically was that how can you hate pineapple pizza without even trying it?
Yeah, and just to give others some context too, so Megha actually had posted on her story, like with, just telling people that we were going live. She had asked, like, send questions. So I think this is where that question came from, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah. Unpopular opinion, but I love pineapple pizza.
You said it.
No, I know. Yeah, no, no, no. So there's a story really. So what happened is, I at first like this is like wow, like I never even knew that pineapple was a topping on a pizza, right? Till my friends, which of course all of my friends eat meat, I don't eat meat. So we happened to be at this like house party where they got all pizzas that were meat, and then there was just one pizza with pineapple on it. And I'm like, I can't like not eat. So I'm like, okay, I'll try it. I was scared. I was like, this is like going to ruin my appetite. And I love pizza. I'm somebody that can eat pizzas like almost every day. I don't do that. But yeah, that is who I am. And so I'm thinking, wow, I'm going to eat this and then it's going to ruin my appetite for the rest of my life. So I'm like, okay, I'll just try one piece. And I loved it. I just, yeah, ever since that day when I tried it, I actually put some hot sauce on it too. So I think for me, it was the perfect combination of sweet and like sour or like spicy. So yeah, I think I would say yes, pineapple, yes for pineapple pizza, but also like some spicy sauce that goes with it. So it's a good
Hmm.
combination of both. But you tell me, he said, how can you
So I
hate it
have
without trying it? So maybe there's more to the story.
Okay, so I think when I was sharing my views about pineapple pizza earlier, I would have been a little not okay with even entertaining the idea in my mind because it just made me lose my appetite like anything. But then
Yeah.
I have been hearing from a lot of people who actually like pineapple pizza. So now call it peer pressure or call it curiosity, but I think I'll give it a try and then I'll share my opinion.
Yeah. So I was going to say, I've also been scarred from like all these random food experiences. I don't know if I want to scare everybody, but I'll go ahead and say it. Do you think I should say it? Mega knows this. We already like talked about
See,
this.
we are talking about creativity. So I think this would be the last creative thing which we'll share, and then we'll try to wind up.
It's a little too creative. So, when I was eating that pizza for the first time, I already had like these very scarred food experiences where I knew that my friends were into all sorts of weird food combinations. And so one such friend happened to put Complan in Maggie and eat it. So they wouldn't put
Okay.
they wouldn't put the Maggie masala, but they would put Complan like in the cooked noodles and actually like think of it as chocolate noodles and eat it. And I was just like, no, that cannot happen.
Didn't
But
the Maggie complain about Complan?
to this day, like I'm scarred. I didn't try it. I just saw it happen and I was just like, great, I can never do this. But since I've seen like such things, I'm like, okay, I think pineapple on a pizza doesn't sound that bad actually.
Yeah, I think it's since
So
we are talking about creativity, we are talking about art. Food and cooking is also kind of an art. So yeah, I think I'll be a little I'll I'll first try out things and then I would say, but yeah, certain
yeah,
ideas do scar your mind. I'm trying to be a little bit open-minded about it. Acha Kriti, so I think there's a question for you.
yeah.
So since one
It might
pen
be for you also. One uses digital pen to illustrate, and there was also a pineapple. What do you think about pen, pineapple, apple pen? This is
Okay.
after, do you know this?
I do. I have a pen. I have pineapple.
Oh, yes. Pen, pineapple, apple pen. He's hilarious. He's so popular. Those videos are super popular.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think okay, so many of my friends were asking me that if the Insta live is going to be like a Kavi Sammelan. I said no, I'm the only Kavi in the Sammelan. And the other person is actually a digital artist.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they have been asking me that they would like to see me narrate one of my poems.
Yeah,
So
why
I
don't you?
think
If you have one handy, go ahead, go for it.
yeah. So I
While you're
think I can
looking,
narrate.
do you have one? Did you already look it up?
Yeah, so I have one in my laptop in front of me. This is also the poem which I just uploaded yesterday.
Yeah, okay,
So
great.
I would, and this also answers the eternal question of where does a writer draw inspiration from? So I
Hmm.
think this
Perfect.
this
Yeah.
poem would go. Okay, so I would go ahead with it. The name of the poem is A Writer. It's like the writer is writing a poem on herself. So yeah, here it goes. A cold wave of wind, or a stranger chagrined, the twinkle of a distant star, or a wildflower blooming afar, the fearless parade of ants, or the twisted music of chants, a page of a book, or a solitary soul that shook, a never ending queue, or the aroma of coffee starting to brew, the hearts that pounce united, or the shrill when someone shouted, eyes that mislead, and the mascara that bleed. Sorry state of affairs, or lying on the porch, empty chairs. A writer takes everything quite personally.
Nice. That's lovely. I'm yet to see the video of this. There's a video that goes with it too, right?
Yes, yes. So it's I
Yeah,
just uploaded it yesterday. So people who are yet to see it, they can just find it on my feed.
yeah, that's awesome. Was there something very like specific that came to you before you wrote this, or was it something that you've been thinking about as you've been writing your other poems?
So see, this is something which was inspired by the question itself. So I
Mm,
do get asked this question a lot, that where
mm,
do you draw inspiration for your poems from?
yeah,
And then when I asked this question to myself, that okay, where does my inspiration come from? And
yeah,
it comes from everywhere. It can come from a cold breeze. It can come from a stranger just moving around anywhere. It can come from music. It can come from a book. It can come from coffee. It can come from ants. It's like whatever I observe and whatever catches my attention, I would just go
yeah.
ahead and write it.
Well, I do, thanks for sharing that again. And we should have said this sooner, so our apologies, but we do want to thank everybody that, came and joined our live.
Yes.
And for some that have also patiently stayed with us throughout the process of, us just sharing. This was the very first time that both Megha and I chose to go live.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll have many more opportunities to come all these pieces and, the art that we create and stuff as well.
Yeah, and I think this would be also the right time to announce that we are actually doing a collaboration in which I have written a poem and Kriti is going to create an art for that poem. So this particular piece won't be uploaded in a video format. It would be an art piece with a video, and it would be
Yeah,
our collaboration. And I think let's unveil it on an Insta live only, and then we would upload it on our individual feeds.
yeah,
Sounds like a good idea, right?
it does. Yes.
So, guys, you can just tell us in the DMs that if you would like to see a collaborative live again, wherein we unveil our art pieces and the poem. Yeah, hello. Kriti, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Sorry, I was like thinking like, were you gonna say something? So I was just like, pause. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just asking people that if they would like to see that live, wherein we unveil the collaborative art piece, which we have been planning about, and they can just give us a yes or a no, so we can have more people join us. Although the people who have joined and stayed with us, we are really thankful to you guys because we are at a stage where we are just starting off, and each and every person who is supporting at this point, it just means so much. It really means so much.
It does, truly. Yeah. I think because like our somewhere like I think our work also like is intending to draw inspirations from, but also I think give hope, right? Like there's a lot happening in our world right now, like I've already said many times today, and a lot of it is still evolving, right? Like we don't know what we don't even know ahead, and we don't know where people are, what they're going through. And so hopefully somewhere, intentionally or even unintentionally, I hope, our work can reach people and more than anything, even give them a little bit of hope in knowing that there are other people like them in the world who are also experiencing these emotions. And it's absolutely okay to not be okay, and to experience things the way they are, and to always be a first in something, like for Megha and I both. This is our first, and it's been a first of sorts in even writing these poems, like establishing pages and trying to connect with other people in the world, especially since we cannot actually be meeting people in person more frequently because of our ongoing situations. So it's
Hmm.
it's been it's been a nice, pleasant journey so far, and I can't wait to see where it goes, really.
Yeah, that's very true because I think artists are people. Okay, now this might sound a little self-pleasing, but the artists who have played a very important role in my life. So I have read poetry of other people, of these really famous poets, and the art pieces that I have seen, the music that I have listened to. So in testing times like these, when Corona is there and when we are
Yeah.
locked down in our homes, I think art is something which keeps us going, right? And if we create more, so there's already much art out there, and when we create art, we reach out to people.
Yeah.
It is something, see, it is something which cannot be measured. It is
Yeah.
something which can only be felt. And I find it a really beautiful feeling.
The same. Yeah, I have to agree with you that, it's like I've already said, it's very calming. And to me, like I make meaning off of it, like, with what I'm also experiencing. So I think it also helps me in that aspect. And so, yeah, I hope to keep at it now that my arm is getting a bit better. I hope to keep doing it, and I hope to keep developing more pieces intentionally as I go forward.
Yeah. I do hope that your arm gets better really soon so we can,
Yeah, thank you.
you can draw more and we can have more art pieces.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you to everyone else again. I know a few people just also joined. We actually are going to, you want to tell them how we're going to like save this maybe and make it available so they can even watch it later?
Yeah, so since we had a couple of people join us for the live, and there were still people who were interested, but probably the timings didn't match with their schedule. It's a busy life, we know. So this live, considering that it was our very first live, I'll try and I'll post it on our feed. We'll both post it on each other's feed so that it's visible to people who couldn't join us this time. But we would really like if you could join us next time when we unveil our art piece. Also, you guys can just tell us which schedule works for you. I think next time we'll just ask people which schedule works for
Hmm.
them.
Yeah,
So
that might be a
more
good idea
people.
too. Because we are in such like different time zones, I think it might be best to even, maybe do a poll and ask people if there's a time that works better with their schedule. We're happy to do that as well.
Exactly. And considering that we both are in different time zones, we would be a bit flexible and try to accommodate as many people in the best possible time schedule
Yeah,
that works out.
absolutely.
Great. I think
Well,
let's conclude it now.
thank you so much again, and I hope everybody's keeping safe. Didn't really say that very explicitly, but whoever joined us, I do hope that you all are keeping well, you're socially distant from others, and keeping healthy. And if I have to say one thing, I would really say, it's hard. I know it's difficult. I know there's just a lot of things, again, uncertain times, but be kind to yourself. And I'm sending good vibes to everybody. Mega.
I already started feeling good vibes while you were saying that.
Oh, I'm sending you lots of panda hugs and love.
I can feel them. Okay, so yeah, I would say the same thing. These are testing times, and I hope you guys are staying socially distant, but don't stay distant on social media. Practice social distancing. Don't practice social media distancing. Let's be connected with each other. Let's keep giving strength, hope, and positivity to each other. And yeah, let's just be kind. Let's be artsy. Let's be creative. Let's be happy. And yeah, that's it. Thanks everyone who joined. Really matters a lot.
Somebody's saying this is a cooking time and they're enjoying cooking with both of you. Oh, thank you. Send some
Oh,
food
thank
for
you
us.
so much.
What are you cooking?
Yeah, what are you cooking? Tell us now. Okay, I think
Yeah,
he
it
might be
froze.
cooking. No, no, it didn't. I was waiting that okay, he'll type down what he's cooking, but I think he's cooking and he's busy now. But okay, it was
Oh,
lovely.
mutton stew.
Oh,
Sorry, not for me then. I'll
so
watch. I'll watch you eat.
no, so I can take the mutton and Kriti can take the stew.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That is also true.
Okay. Okay,
Hmm.
so let's meet again then,
Yeah, and
whenever
we'll keep you
our
all
art is
posted.
ready.
Please watch our pages. Follow Mega Saxena Poet. That's her page, and my page is Art by Mangok, Mangok, all one word. Yeah, and thank you again.
Thank you again. See you guys next time. Bye bye.